It's a merger of epic proportions. Elon Musk has combined SpaceX with his artificial intelligence startup, xAI. The deal will value the company at a record-setting $1.25 trillion. But any celebration could be short-lived for Musk. Breaking today, Paris prosecutors raided the French offices of Musk's social media company, X. Here with more is The Hill's tech reporter, Julia Shapiro. Hey, Julia. So let's start with what happened in France today. A cybercrime unit raided X's headquarters, and now prosecutors are requesting Elon Musk appear for questioning related to the distribution of sexually explicit deepfakes and other controversial content. What do we know so far about this investigation?
Yeah, so the Paris prosecutor's office has said that this is part of a broader investigation, actually, that they launched last January. And so that started as an investigation into algorithmic bias on X, and more recently has expanded to cover the AI chatbot Grok, which we have seen, producing a surge of sexually explicit deepfakes on X in response to user requests. And this has produced, a very large backlash from regulators around the world. And we've seen X since, really restrict users' abilities to edit and generate these images, but it's still really dealing with the consequences. And we saw the raid this morning from the Paris prosecutor's office, and they're also calling on Elon Musk as well as ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino to come appear before them.
Last year, the European Union hit X with a $140 million fine for violating the Digital Services Act. Could Musk be hit with more fines following this investigation? And could the Trump administration actually attempt to intervene?
Yeah, definitely. So this investigation we still have yet to see play out. However, on the EU side, they face, one fine on that side already. Then that had to do with, its blue checkmark system and concerns that it was deceptively designed. But the EU is still investigating X actually on several other instances, and it has recently expanded that to include Grok as well over these concerns. So even on the EU front, X could still face another fine.
How does the Trump administration play into this? Because he's had some complaints to European officials about how U.S. tech companies are being treated, correct?
Yes, this has been a big point of concern for the Trump administration. And after, X faced that first fine late last year, we did see the Trump administration sort of rallying behind Musk and the company. And they have on several instances, threatened to retaliate or push back. Trump frequently looks at tariffs as a potential opportunity, or these trade agreements that he's negotiating with countries in Europe as a potential opportunity to sort of limit these fines that we're seeing against major tech companies.
So in that other Elon Musk news, the billionaire announced SpaceX has acquired his AI company, xAI. Tell us about this merger.
Yeah, so Musk announced yesterday that SpaceX is merging with xAI, which is his AI company. Now, we already saw xAI acquire the social platform X, formerly known as Twitter, last year in a pretty large consolidation. So this is now bringing together what used to be two of Elon Musk's company, now a third coming together and consolidating under SpaceX. And, this comes as SpaceX is widely expected to go public this year. And, Musk is focused on bringing these together, especially as he's really focused on AI and, potentially putting AI data centers in space.
In SpaceX news, the company has filed plans to launch 1 million orbital data centers, orbital data center satellites, which will act to power artificial intelligence. What details do you know about these satellites and how they actually work?
So we'll have yet to see how many satellites they can actually get out there. They've applied to the FCC for approval, and we have yet to see how that works out for them. But the idea is that these would be solar-powered satellites, so they would be powered from the sun and would not necessarily require another power source. A big issue nowadays with data centers here on Earth is that they require massive amounts of power, which is causing a lot of frustration in local communities amid rising electricity prices. There's also concerns around water usage and various amounts of pollution. So the idea is that these would be in space. They would not require cooling because they would be in space, they would be in orbit, and they wouldn't require, taking up the space that has become so controversial recently.
How does this set up SpaceX for that potential public offering later this year?
Yeah, it just leaves, SpaceX in a better position. It would be a larger company. It has, more of, it brings in some of the AI side from XAI going into later this year and that potential IPO. We've seen, reports that Musk has been looking at this throughout the last year. And so we have yet to see how this goes, but it seems like this is what he's moving towards.
That brings us to Musk's other big company, Tesla. Is this move possibly laying the groundwork for a possible future merger with Tesla?
Well, we've definitely seen discussions of that as well, given that Musk has already consolidated three of his major companies so far. And Tesla has really turned its attention as well to AI and robotics. It's moving away from some of its roots and its focus on electric vehicles. And is looking more at this idea of physical AI with robotics. So it's definitely something that could potentially happen, especially given that SpaceX is merging with XAI, the AI side of Musk's AI company. So there's definitely a through line of AI throughout all of his companies at the moment.
All right, it's a story we will continue to follow, but for now, we will leave it at that. Julia Shapiro, thank you.
Thanks for having me.